Hello and welcome to a new trial video, really. A new series. I really like this game, and I'd like to be able to share it with other people. And it is Space Engineers. So we are going to give it a go, doing actually a heavily modded single-player series. I'm not sure how many episodes I'm going to do or how often they are. Most likely we'll try just for like once a week to start. But we are going to do a full sort of playthrough of this series, of the what is available in Space Engineers as we flying into the Earth-like planet here. Oh, I'm getting better at using these spectator camera controls. We are heading to our landing site down here beside this ice lake. Ooh, there's my landing ship. And as we come in, slow right down and see my little engineer right there, ready to kick ass. So what we're gonna do is we've started with this little landing ship. We can of course grind it down. Ooh, I play with the camera controls there. Grind it down for resources. There is also a certain amount of resources inside of it that it comes with stock. Should be enough to build a basic starting platform. And in this area here, if we zoom back, we have a very nice open flat land to build a nice big base in. We've got a huge lake right beside us, although in this game there actually is no water physics. This is all just ice. But this means that we have a bunch of fuel for hydrogen thrusters to build our first ships, as I have a mod on here that actually makes it so that materials are much more scarce than they should be. So instead of having everything available to build basically everything up at the very start, we're going to have to rely on very annoying things like no uranium for reactors. We have to rely on solar panels. Platinum is extremely rare, so we're going to have to go into space to get that and search it out. So we're going to have to use hydrogen thrusters in space, which will mean we'll have to truck fuel. A whole bunch of things that will make it interesting and provide me with some engineering problems. As well, I have added in a whole bunch of enemy AI so that I won't be alone out here and I won't be just doing this without any threat. So if we look here, we've got an enemy scuttler ship flying along. It's got modded weapons on the top of it, some sort of, I believe that's a anti-fighter minigun on the top of it. It's got some sort of laser battery on the bottom. And we've also got various, whoa, way too fast for the for the camera there. We've got various installations as well. So we've got a little base here that's got its guns on it as well that we'll be able to fight and loot as we wish. And our ultimate goal is to go from our little lander right here, build out our base, and then fly out into the stars, head to the moon, build a base there, gather its resources, and then use it to fly over to the Mars-like planet, which is way over here. If I don't go too fast, we can take a look at, we want to visit here, build up a base on Mars. There's Mars's moon, which is an amazing ice ball, so we can fuel our ships in the future from its surface. And then eventually head out all the way to the alien planet, which is the only planet that has uranium, so we can build our most important large reactors and get everything all fixed up and awesome. So this is our ultimate goal, is this sort of like the series end, is to have a nice expedition base on the alien planet. But let us get out of the spectator camera and back to our character and start. Now, normally what I would do, we got the start here. We are going to go in and we're going to grab some of the steel plates we begin with, as we just want to lay out a little bit of a starting base. Now, this ground is never really ever flat because it is a planet, so it will wrap around eventually. But what we want to do is just align it to gravity by pressing B, sort of just barely stick it into the ground, and then extend it out in a distance. And we should probably see, as we keep extending it, it's sort of getting deeper and deeper in the ground, where this is about halfway in, and way back over here, it's just barely in. So we can sort of get an idea of what the terrain is doing here, and we can get a feel of how we want to position our base as it comes this way. It seems to be staying a lot flatter in this direction, so we probably want to build our base out this way. Okay, so I like to just do that to figure out what my base positioning will be. So we're going to build this way. We're going to leave some of this up, and we'll just make a quick little platform. Maybe like a 5x5, something along those lines. And just start transferring some of the stuff from the lander. Go in here. And now we can start doing things like taking all this stuff. We see we got also several mods that make stuff like decorations for weapon racks and bunk beds and stuff. So we don't need to have just a boring base. We can decorate it nicely. We've got all sorts of modded weapons, and a really great mod that if we say pick out a cargo container, a small cargo container, and then we look at our storage and right click, it'll tell us what we need. We need interior plates, and we need metal grids, and we need small steel tubes in order to build this, and it automatically pulls everything we need into our inventory. So it'll make life much easier to build stuff with. So we need small steel tubes, interior plates, metal grids. We're unfortunately going to need to salvage those from other pieces of our ship. So we're going to get some metal grids from this atmospheric thrusters. So we'll grind these two down. As this ship isn't going anywhere again, it is being turned into a scrap to build this base. Alright, that got our... Ooh, we still need 10 more interior plates. We don't have enough room to grind anything down, so let's just drop off some of this stuff that we picked up. And interior plates are... These things have them? Yeah, these catwalks have interior plates. We can steal from these catwalks. Alright. That should be my interior plates for this little thing. And then all we need is small steel tubes, 3 of them. And we're almost there. So I think those are large steel in those engines. Do we have small steel? One of these things has got to have small steel tubes in it. Also, we should probably go and grab some of our bottles so that we can fly around. And we don't need the oxygen bottles because we're on planet in atmosphere. But since we don't have any small steel tubes, what we can do is we can grab these large ones, we can put them into the assembler, we can use the assembler to disassemble them and turn them into just raw iron ore, these iron ingots, and then we can assemble some small steel tubes. So we can just make 20 of those and just get what we need, not have to worry about finding a particular item in order to grind it down and get them. Excellent. So now we have a cargo container here, so we should be able to just start moving stuff across, and we can just grab everything from here. And if I am not mistaken, if I right click, yes, I can place everything in my current inventory into the targeted inventory. So it makes life easy peasy for transferring this stuff. And I will, well, what I think I'm going to do for this kind of series, if I'm doing something repetitive like this, I'll show you what I'm doing and then I'll cut away, and when we come back I'll have this all transferred. Alright, now that we got everything all transferred over here, I even took the little bit of uranium you get for your starting reactor out, as this is all the uranium I'm going to have unless I loot it from these structures or the aircraft that are flying around. So very precious so far. We're mainly going to be running off of battery and solar for the longest time, so we should get that up and running. Open up our G menu and look for some battery. We'll replace the small cargo container there, and we'll also look for solar. We'll get the normal size panel. We've also got some smaller panels that will be better for, say, rovers, but we don't have those yet. We'll open up our battery. We'll right click on here to grab everything we need, but we have insufficient space. That's all right. We'll slap down our battery and start welding on it, which will deposit all of the various components in there. And since we've already done one draw, we can do another draw for the same item, the same battery, and it will draw the remaining items that we need. And now we can build up our battery. It takes so long. I don't have any upgraded tools. When you get the fully upgraded tools, this is faster. And running around it does absolutely nothing. I'm just trying to not be, standing here watching a percentage bar go up. Okay, great. So, we got a little bit of power coming in. Is that sun going down or up? I am not sure. But it is there. We need to get a couple solar panels going so we can start this battery charging. We'll grab everything we need to make that. We need large steel tubes. We need more of those. They have... Oh, because we ground them all down. That's why we have none in our storage. So let's go and grab one of these atmospheric thrusters that have 8 of them. That will give us enough to build our panels. And since we have this arm just so happens to be ready to go there, sticking out, let's just throw some panels onto it for the meantime. And let's just slap down a few here. Oh god, it's rotating. There we go. About 3 or 4 will probably do fine for the meantime until we can get everything all wonderful. We'll just deposit as much materials as we can. We're going to need more solar cells for those and some computers. And I will come back when I've got these all welded up. And we are just finishing up the last solar panel. Now, having them flat like this isn't the best in terms of efficiency because they're only going to have their peak solar output when the sun is directly overhead. But it is good enough for now. In the future, we'll definitely make a solar tower that will track the sun's position. But the next thing we need to do is have some sort of control station here to control what's going on our little station. So we'll probably slap it down right there. We've got a control station. There's flight seats. We'll probably just do a control station. And we will grab everything we need. Ooh, we don't have bulletproof glass in storage. Need 10 more. But that is okay, because we can place that there and go steal from the ship, as these up here are conveniently bulletproof glass, and lots of it. So that should give me everything I need. Also, if I need to, I can just take this flight seat, and that ship isn't flying anymore, so it doesn't really need a flight seat. We need displays and interior plates. Thankfully, we can go and steal those. Interior plates from these catwalks. And displays we can get from these LCD panels, which just give you a little basic instructions of, you know, build a base and build a little ship and go out exploring. And that should be enough to build our control station. And then we can hopefully jump into it here as soon as it's functional. I'll finish welding this up to full in the future, and we can see that in the bottom right, we're at 0 seconds of battery power, which will mean when we look into here that our battery is actually recharging and is fully recharged in 16 hours, as our solar panels are giving out a little bit of energy. Not very much at all, but something. So that means we do have some power. We can run stuff on the base, which is great. All right. Now, of course, there's going to be just a constant ripping the ship apart in order to get various components from it. But we're not going to completely destroy it yet, as there are batteries on here that have like plenty of charge in them. So we're going to use the things that are on the ship, such as the assembler. They've got the refinery to process our first bits of materials and such that come in. The next thing we need to do, definitely, is build a little scout rover so that we can drive around and figure out where various bits of ores are. As if you look from high up, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to see it just flying up here, but there are areas, oh, right, just like this. So you can see how the ground there is slightly darker than the rest of it. It means that there's ores underneath the ground there. So we need to figure out what ores are there, and to do that we need to take a ore detector there. But to do that we need to take a little rover there. So we're going to grab a landing gear and we're going to start building up a little rover. We'll just deposit all of our stuff, and we'll just grab a couple hundred steel plates just to start, and hold it up in the air a little bit, drop it. Damn it. There we go. Locks to the ground when it hits the ground, which will give me a little bit of a platform I can build up from. And then from here, I can build out. I can build the structure of my little rover that I want to use. And this is a very common design that I use pretty much every time I start up a Space Engineers play. Is there's going to be a cockpit seat there, there's going to be a battery to run the various bits on it and to give it some propulsion. We'll just rotate it around like that. There's going to be a cargo container, which is medium-sized on this small ship. I need interior plates for that. We got some in here? Oh, I got a few. I just need one to be able to place it, but I'll need to get more in order to fully build it. We set that up so that these large yellow squares here use the conveyor system, which allows you to transfer items around. So we're going to have it set up that way. We'll be able to access the small conveyor from the side, and then the large conveyor in the back is going to get a connector, which will allow it to connect to the base eventually. And you can see there, perfectly lines up because I may have built this ship before, and I kind of know exactly how large it is. Then we'll just turn off our little jetpacks so we're not wasting our fuel. We'll expand out the ground plate on it so that if it ever hits the ground, it's hitting this random armor blocks and not my various components. And then we'll grab some wheels, drop a few of these items off my bar because they're not needed anymore. The little plus sign here means that you can access more just by rotating the mouse wheel. So we'll go for probably, there's the 2x2 suspension, which is actually modded and is a pretty good size for this kind of stuff. Or we could go for the 3x3, but I feel like I want to have a little bit more clearance. We're going to grab the 3x3 suspension. So we're going to find 3x3 right in our menu here. We're going to place it like so, and boom. And that will add both a suspension and a wheel. 3x3 right, boom, there we go. Transfer that over to 3x3 left. position it correctly, and add it on. Alright. So now that that base is together, we can kind of add... Where is it? 3x3 wheel onto here so that I can grab the items for it specifically, because if you grab the items for the suspension, it grabs it for the suspension and not actually for the wheel. So we need large steel tubes, which we'll grab off of one of the thrusters over here. And oh no, it's getting dark. One of the things I did add to this as a mod is space just got real, which adds super good like shadows and like dark scenes. So normally at night you'd actually be able to see and still work even though it's middle of the night. That mod makes it so that no, it's pitch black, which won't be that good for recording, so I'm gonna have to make sure to light my bases and crafts enough so that we can be able to see them, but it will make some epic screenshots and such. So we'll cut all of those away. Well, we'll get all these welded up, the wheels, and then now that that's all set up, what we can do is we can cut away that support, and the ship's gonna flop down on itself, and that's fine, and now it's just sitting on the ground. And then we can just build it from here. Oh, look at these shadows as the sun's setting. Oh, this is great. And we just gotta build up. We need more small steel tubes. We're gonna have to go and probably order up a bunch of those. Let's just order 100 of them. And just let it build for a second while I do other bits of this ship. We're gonna just grab some more stuff for the suspensions. It just needs large steel tubes. But we'll get the rest of the suspensions put together. And I'll just build out the rest of this ship. It's going to take me just another few minutes, and I'll come back when that is done. Okay, and we're just finishing up with a little bit of the undercarriage here. And then this little guy is ready to rock. My first little ship. It's awesome. Now, we could put some lights on this in the future, but we're just going to use our suit lights in the meantime. Supply transport 3.6 kilometers away. It shouldn't be an issue. But we can jump in the little ship here and take it for a drive. An important thing is the wheels are way too strong right now. So we are going to definitely put the speed limit down to something like 80 kilometers an hour. And we're going to put the power down to something like 20% instead of 60, as, yeah, it would just absolutely destroy the world. We'll turn off steering for those. Are those the right ones? So right one is fine, left one is not. We want to have only steering in the front wheels, because it'll make us less likely to flip ourselves around. Ah, there we go. As it is finally dark and the sun is setting. Oh man, it gets so dark in this game at night. But what we need to do before we end off is we need to make a little platform for this and get it attached to the base. Because the reason why we put this connector on is, of course, in the future we can transfer stuff out of this cargo right here. But also we need to charge the battery, and we're going to charge it off of the base. So what we're going to do is, in the meantime, we're just going to slap a connector on the base. And I need a... There we go. Slap that connector there. Weld it up. I need a computer, which I can go steal from something in here. Can I steal from this door? Yes, I can. I'm not going to need this door anymore. I can steal 2 computers from it. Also, this gyroscope has 5. And this thing isn't going to fly anymore, so it doesn't need anything from a gyroscope. And I might fill up before I finish that, so I should better not allow the items to drop on the floor, and I should deposit them, and I should go back and get the rest of it. There we go. Excellent. So now we should have absolutely everything we need to finish this off. Yes, we do. Weld up this connector, and then we'll make a little bit of ramp, and we'll back up the ramp and snap onto the base. So right here, if we try to just do this right now and reset my camera view, oh god, it's so dark, you can hardly see anything. I'm sorry for this. I want this mod because it makes things realistic and I'll have to light stuff appropriately, but it makes it hard for this first little bit here. As you can see, basically there's no way we can align up because we're too low. So we need to add a little bit of a ramp there. So we'll just leave our little rover right there. We're going to grab into our armor blocks and rotate through them until we find some ramps to work with. Where are they? Is it? Oh no, here it is. Light armor slope, the 2x1s. That's what we want. Excellent. So we're going to put that ramp on there. We need to grab a little bit of steel plates, and then we'll put a little ramp tip on it so that the rover doesn't have to jump over that little edge. We don't need to weld any of this up yet, as we're just getting this thing parked for the night, and then that will be sort of the first episode of this. The introductory, do you guys like it or not, as we're backing up here. Damn it, it's not aligned. Ah! Ooh, maybe half blocks will do it. So we'll get rid of this, and instead what we'll do is we'll grab half blocks. They're in here somewhere. Here it is. Half armor blocks. And it'll be a half platform instead. So that way it doesn't go up as far at the end. Something like that. Can I? No. It doesn't like me. Yeah. I just want those to connect for a second. Okay, we're gonna have to extend that out. The front end is too far down, so I will extend out my little platform here so that I can be completely flat on there. And then, screw it, I can just drive over that bump. On park. And drive over that bump. And get to there. Then let's see if we can play with it. We're so close here. Let's just play with our suspension. Let us... No, that's lowering our suspension. That's not good. We already got our suspension fully up. Oh, but maybe that's what we can do. We can just lower our suspension instead. This is trial and error. Get rid of these bits. I will build a proper thing for these where I'll have a an arm that will adjust to the correct height and all that kind of stuff, so that we don't have to worry about this kind of silliness in the future. But we will throw on the ramp here. Okay, now we're gonna do it. We're gonna back this thing up and get it right up against there, and then with a little bit of finagling, okay, it's lined up. Now we can go into our K menu here, grab our wheels, and slowly drop our offset until we can see that those are yellow now, which means we can lock it. So if I hit park, we'll lock up to the base, and what we can do is we can now access everything on the base. So we can see there's the solar panels. We can take our local battery and we can set it to recharge, which will allow it to pull from the base's battery. So it's going to be fully recharged in 10 minutes. This will be fully depleted in 13. So there's still going to be a tiny bit of juice left in the base after this thing is fully charged. But that's going to be it for now. It is nighttime, so I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup, probably weld up some of these floor blocks here, so just that they're, you know, not like one tap from death, and start breaking down the atmospheric lander overnight. And in the morning, we're going to upgrade this little ship here, this little rover, with an ore detector so that we can go out and start doing our first scouting run. Drive around the area, figure out where all the different ores are and which ores are in which locations. So in the future, we can build a mining ship and then we'll know where to go. But that's going to be it for now for Space Engineers. Let me know if you guys like this at all, whether or not I should do it. And I'm thinking for how often, be maybe once a week, on the weekends sort of thing. But that's going to be it for now. Thanks for watching, and good hunting.